I can't tell you. I just can't get my arms around that whole Anthony Weiner story, and he's not resigning. Congratulations, America. We have another winner, or Weiner in this case. Yesterday, I was walking from church to my office. Usually I don't work on the Sabbath, but I had work I had to complete yesterday. And so I was walking from church and I went to my office, and I came around the corner and I forgot that there was a pro-Israel parade that was happening. And I should have known. I walked right into this crowd yesterday. I should have known something was going on when I saw these dump trucks, and I couldn't figure them out. This is a picture that I took. These dump trucks are full of sand. They had the cherry picker for some unknown reason, and there were police everywhere on every single street. There were like choke points and almost checkpoints, so people could come in and support Israel. Then there was also the anti-Israel propaganda. The protests were anti-Zionist. They were ultra-Orthodox Jews who oppose Israel's existence and Palestinian supporters. And it's great. Now, I'm putting together the Restoring Courage event. And I've told you before, just like I told the press before 8/28, that 8/24, this event in Jerusalem, is not a political event. This is an event to teach us to stand up for what we believe in, stand for what is right, ensure people's safety, to protect, be a shield for Jewish people, for Israel, and also for Jerusalem. Someone I reached out to right away is a man that I don't always agree with, but I have tremendous respect for him. I don't know if we would say that if he would say that we were, buddies or anything, but he has played a role in my life for quite some time. He actually helped me get into Yale University. I know Yale is angry probably about that, for his help on that, but he has always been a man that deserved our respect. But we haven't talked much over the years since then. I reached out to him right away when this idea came to me, because I knew that we needed to have people on both sides of the aisle. I would like to announce that he'll be coming with us, and hopefully he'll be leading a delegation from the U.S. over to Israel and Jerusalem. Joining me now, Connecticut Senator Joe Lieberman. Hello, Senator. How are you, sir?
Glenn, I'm good. I'm glad to be with you, and I'd write that reference letter to Yale again if you want to go back to divinity school.
What do you have against Yale? Why? All right.
To explain to your viewers, I met Glenn when he was doing a morning radio show in New Haven, Connecticut, quite a long time ago, and we just got to be friends, and I was impressed with him, and I must say, though you're right, we haven't agreed a lot of the time. I've been really proud of your remarkable rise over the years since then.
Well, thank you, sir. I called you, and you said yes, you would be there, and you said mainly because, if I may quote you, mainly because of what you saw me do in Washington on 8/28, that it was not a political event. And that you knew you could trust that this event would be something dignified and good.
Absolutely right. Look, first, I think the idea of the Restoring Courage gathering in Jerusalem is an important idea and a very constructive one at a very important time for Israel, and a time that also could be potentially destructive for Israel and for us, for the United States of America. And I know you want it to be nonpartisan, non-denominational. It's not against anybody or any group. It's to stand with Israel at a time when a lot of the rest of the world is attempting to delegitimize Israel. And for me, the confidence that I have in thanking you for this idea, and telling you that God willing and the Senate schedule willing, I'm going to be with you in Jerusalem in August, is what you did here in Washington last August. A lot of people said it was going to be partisan, it was going to be political, it was going to be divisive. It was a magnificently unifying day that was all about American values, and frankly about the faith in God that most Americans share. So it's with that confidence and a little encouragement by some clergy, both Christian and Jewish, that I respect, who are going to be there, are already part of this, that I'm happy to come on today and say I'm going to stand with you in standing for Israel.
So, Senator, you're going to get a lot of heat for this. You know that, and I know that. I don't want it to be partisan, and I know that there could be a lot of people on the conservative end, and that's why we tried to announce you first. But we've had a lot of people that are on the left side who immediately hung up the phone and want nothing to do with anything. What is it, Senator, that you could possibly say that will bring others who disagree with me, but we can agree on Israel?
Yeah, well, you know, this touches a larger nerve and a larger problem in America today, and particularly in American politics, where if you don't agree about 100% with somebody else on all the issues, then even when you do agree with that person, you refuse to stand with them or work with them. That's part of the problem here in Congress, which explains why we don't get a lot done. And to me, this is about a shared value. It's about the values that we share as Americans with Israel. It's about the fact that we have common enemies. In some sense, Israel is the first line of defense for the United States of America. I can tell you, as the chairman of the Senate Committee on Homeland Security, that a lot of the same threats that Israel faces are faced increasingly by us here at home. And so I say to everybody, okay, you don't who is skeptical and who's going to be critical about me, okay, you don't agree with Glenn Beck on climate change or Medicare or whatever, or President Obama, but if you agree with him on this, then why would you not be true to your own conscience and stand with him? And the cause here, if I may say so, is larger than Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck had this idea. This is a good idea, a very, very powerful idea. But if you agree with it, and if you think it's time to stand with Israel, then let's just unite around that. And you know, I saw this happen a couple of weeks ago when Prime Minister Netanyahu addressed the joint session of Congress, and the feeling in the room was so unified. You could go from the most left Democrat to the most right Republican. Everybody was standing up and cheering, not just for the Prime Minister, but for Israel and for the U.S.-Israel relationship. And in doing so, I think members of Congress were reflecting the beliefs of the people of the United States of America. Well, so let's not let others divide us. Let's come together when we agree, and this is an important time to do that.
Senator, thank you very much. We'll see you.
Thank you, Glenn.
You bet.
God bless.
God bless you. We'll see you in Israel on 8/24. Back in a minute. So Anthony Weiner did send them. Man, I wouldn't have seen that one coming. Here we are now heading into the summer. 24% of our country's teens are unemployed. China, it was announced this weekend, dropped 97% of its holdings in U.S. Treasury bills. But don't worry about that. It's only 97%. Way back in 2009, China held $210 billion in our government short-term Treasury bills. Now it's just $5.7 billion. But go back to sleep. Housing prices are down. Sales are down. Gas and food prices sky high. Did you see them burning the food in Europe? Isn't that weird? And unemployment is back to 9.1. Oh, another thing. We told you about 2 years ago that this would happen in Greece. It's happening now. 50,000 people protested yesterday in Athens, objecting to new austerity demands, signs saying thieves, hustlers, bankers, and from Tahrir Square to Syntagma Square, we support you. It's almost like it started in the Middle East and swept up. This is the largest turnout in a series of 12 days of solidarity rallies, which started in Spain, which I think we told you that would happen too on this program when they were calling me names. Weird. Well, if you would have listened, you probably would be prepared now. Is anyone telling you to be prepared? The mutually assured economic destruction is coming our way. I think it's happening now, because it's happening now in Europe. The world in Europe, don't be fooled by this, will look for other places to put their money besides Europe, and they'll put it into the U.S. first. Don't be fooled. The Treasury, all of a sudden, all this money will flow into the Treasury. That's happening because there's no long-term thinking out there, and they're just looking for a safe harbor. But we'll be the next domino. We'll be the next domino. And what is the president saying about all of these things? What's his take on all of this? Oh, big picture thinking in Toledo from the president next. The press on the right is eagerly talking this weekend about the awkward Wrangler joke that the president made at a Chrysler plant in Toledo last week. He made an analogy about the bumps along the way to the recovery being the path, that even a Jeep Wrangler couldn't get through, and he got some objections. And here's what happened.
There are always going to be bumps on the road to recovery. We're going to pass through some rough terrain that even a Wrangler would have a hard time with. We know that.
This is not awkward for the president. They weren't saying no because that's outrageous that you would compare the economy to. No. This was because of the Wrangler can handle anything. This is company pride. No one is focusing, however, on what he said before the stupid joke, and that is the bumps in the road. The policies that he can't blame Bush on, like the highest gas price that we've had. There it is. That's some of the highest in history. Mr. President, you stopped drilling for oil in the Gulf while you opened it up to Brazil. You pushed for cap and trade. Mr. President, you wanted to make, energy prices necessarily skyrocket. You said those words yourself. That's one of the things he blamed. That's a bump in the road. Headwind we're facing. Energy prices, gas prices. The next one he blamed was instability in the Middle East. Excuse me? That's your policy. You're encouraging the uprisings like this. You said the guy who set himself on fire was Rosa Parks. Don't talk to me about instability being a bad thing. And he didn't even mention the skyrocketing cost of food. You know about the E. coli breakout in Europe, right? Yeah. Here they are. They're just dumping food. What do you think that's going to do to the price of food over in Europe? It's interesting, the throwing the food away, which you now have to do. But is that something that maybe somebody should say, hey, food prices will necessarily skyrocket? I'm just saying. Good news is, I didn't play you the clip where he was blaming Bush. He did, but he's not really pointing the finger where it should be pointed, at himself, his administration, for causing some of these, quote, headwinds. Hear me out. I'm just thinking, if Anthony Weiner does decide to leave office in shame, he can always be the second half to Eliot Spitzer. Spitzer and Weiner. They'd have so much to talk about. Only in America could that actually be a possibility. Only in America. From New York, good night, America.